Judges, are you ready? Timer, are you ready? Moment, are you ready? Camera, are you ready? Yes. Should abortion remain a legal option for pregnant women? We think yes. Abortion in the United States became legal in 1973 in the case of Roe v. Wade. This court ruled that the Constitution of the United States protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion without excessive government restrictions. My partners and I strongly agree that abortion should stay legalized in all 50 states. My first assertion is law should not be influenced by religion. My reasoning that supports my assertion is the first Constitution that states Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, bridging the freedom of speech or of the press. 53% of the people cite religious beliefs as the primary influence of their religious views or making abortion illegal. The Catholic Church is one of the faith groups that strictly believe that abortion is always wrong. We can't deny abortion simply on the basis that there are many religions opposing it. The pro-life argument is grounded in personal and religious moral beliefs, which should not be forced upon others. The statement abortion is wrong is a claim. Claims are not made up by the pro-choice movement, as we believe that the decision is the personal choice of the woman facing her unwanted pregnancy. The evidence that supports my reasoning is the 2008 interview guide focused on the woman's decision-making process regarding her pregnancy. It talked about how having an abortion would fit in with her personal beliefs, including her religious and moral beliefs, and how she had seen her community react to women who had had abortions. 90% of Northern Ireland's 1.87 million population are Christian, now outnumbering Catholics. But the members of these faiths remain divided decades after the 1997 peace agreement that was meant to end sectarian violence in the region. But it is now considered illegal in Northern Ireland to end a pregnancy unless it endangers the mother's life, though 65% of Ireland's population supports abortion. My second assertion is when a pregnancy is the result of rape or incest, a woman should not be forced to have the child. My reasoning for this assertion is that the woman may not be emotionally or mentally stable to give the child what it needs. The evidence that supports my second assertion is that women in Alabama are only allowed to have abortions if the woman's in danger or the baby has a health risk. The governor of Alabama, Kay Ivey, signed a controversial bill that bans all abortions in the state of Alabama. This bill is considered the most restrictive abortion law in the U.S. Under the new law, doctors in the state face felony jail time up to 99 years if convicted, but a woman would not be held criminal for having an abortion. Another incident is an 11-year-old girl in Ohio who was raped by a 26-year-old multiple times, which left her pregnant. A state law passed in April but not yet in effect says that the victims like her won't have a choice to carry or have an abortion. They would have to carry and deliver the rapist's child, which is not only dreadful, but it is traumatizing for the women who have been raped. Some medical procedures may trigger traumatic memories and emotions. An infant conceived by rape is described as a difficult task of differentiating the baby from the experience, quoted by Raphael Leff. Our resolution is abortion should remain a legal option for women in all 50 states. Thank you.
There's 35 seconds left. Please hear. Still recording.
Hi, my name is Sean, and my team members are Arden and Henry. Every year there are around 40 to 50 million abortions. From 2015 to 2016, the abortion rate decreased by 2%. 2018, there were 11.8 abortions for every 1,000 women that were ages 15 to 44. My partners and I strongly negate the resolution that abortion should be legal in all 50 states. As a rebuttal to my opponent, she talked about how abortion is an argument about religion and it's about science. What is wrong with the law? This law is wrong because Roe and Wade relies on the 14th Amendment. People interpret the 14th Amendment to the right of privacy. In actuality, the 14th Amendment was actually meant for former slaves, ensuring that they had the same privileges as any citizen in the United States. It gives citizens life, liberty, and property with due process of law. How can this mean a woman can terminate an unborn child? How does this connect? This is why Roe versus Wade may be overturned, because it's constitutionally unsound and relies on interpretation. My first assertion is the third trimester baby and how the baby can survive on its own. Once the baby gets to the third trimester and grown up to 2.5 pounds and 16 inches long, the baby can survive outside the womb, even though that the baby will be extremely premature and in need of medical attention. According to Newsweek, babies born at 22 weeks have a 25% chance of survival with medical attention. 24 weeks is the age that the fetus can live outside the womb in the U.S., but studies show that they can be born at 22 weeks with a 25% chance of survival. Around 5,000 babies are born at the age of 22 weeks each year in the United States. If the baby is able to live outside the womb in the third trimester, why should abortion be allowed to take that life away? Do fetuses feel pain? According to life science, the fetus cannot feel pain until the third trimester. My second assertion is life starts as soon as the baby is conceived. So is it considered murder? Yes. Without the baby being conceived or the eggs being fertilized, the baby cannot develop. Once the baby is conceived, the life of the baby has started, and ending its life is considered murder. According to the Archdiocese of Baltimore, the science of embryology says that when the baby is conceived, it is a living thing. The DNA of the fetus is unique, and the DNA from both parents is unique, like the DNA from both parents. DNA is used to distinguish one person from another. Therefore, DNA of the embryo indicates that the embryo is a person. Killing a potential human life is wrong, and in most cases, if the fetus is not aborted, they would have a life and future like ours. My third assertion is abortions reduce the number of adoptable babies. According to HHS.gov, every 15 out of 100 couples have a problem with getting pregnant and staying pregnant. Couples that are infertile and cannot conceive their own baby look to adopt a child. If women give their unwanted child to people who are looking to adopt, the percent of infants given up for adoption will go up. According to Procon.org, the percent of babies born in 1973 given up for adoption dropped from 9% to 0.5% by 2014. About 90,000 adoptions in 1971 declined to 18,300 adoptions in 2014. Overall, the third trimester fetus could survive outside the womb, and when it gets to a certain size and age, it can survive with medical attention. My partners and I strongly negate that the resolution that abortion should be legal. My partners and I strongly negate the resolution that abortion should be legal in all 50 states.
Is my camera ready? Is my opponent ready? Is my timer ready? Are my judges ready? Okay. My opponent said that fetuses feel pain. Neuroscientists believe that the cortex is necessary for pain perception, and this cortex does not become functional until at least the 26th week of the fetus's development, which is extremely far after most abortions are performed. My opponent also said, once they are conceived, they are a living thing. Although at conception the fertilized egg contains the full genetic code of a human being, this is not a determinant of a human life, since so do all the cells of the body. Saying that being a life shouldn't depend on whether it is located inside or outside the womb. It misses the essential point that at birth the baby begins to exist independently without the mother. My first assertion is making abortions illegal won't stop abortion, but it will make them more unsafe. Instead of making abortions illegal, we should teach more people through sex education, improve distribution of birth control, and empowerment of women. We should practice safe sex and learn that the consequences of an unwanted pregnancy outweighs unsafe sex. Making abortions illegal won't stop women from trying to get rid of the unwanted baby. Now that abortion is legal, it is one of the safest medical procedures in the United States. The World Health Organization states that unsafe abortions are the third leading cause of maternal deaths worldwide and lead to an additional 5 million largely preventable disabilities. The U.S. Supreme Court recognized that the U.S. Constitution protects a person's right to make their own medical decisions, including the decision to have an abortion. My second additional assertion is abortion is vital for gender equality. Women have the right to choose what they want to do with their own bodies, and it takes two to make a baby. And the position of not being able to get an abortion means placing heavy burdens on women that are not placed on men. A woman's freedom and life choices are limited by bearing children. If a woman is not allowed to get an abortion, she not only has to carry through the unwanted pregnancy, but is also expected to look after and support the child for many more years to come. If women get to choose what they want to do with their bodies and if they want to have children or not, they can achieve full political, social, and economic equality with men. In the Roe v. Wade debate, the U.S. Supreme Court recognized that the U.S. Constitution protects a person's right to make their own medical decision, including the decision to have an abortion. In Missouri, 21 out of 24 senators who legislated against abortion were men, and in Georgia it was 33 out of 34 senators. My third assertion is proceeding with an unwanted pregnancy is unfair to the child. Should we really force a child into a life where it is unwanted? We think not. The mother obviously has a reason for feeling that this child would not benefit from being brought into the world, whether that be because of the mother's incompetence to raise a child or in an unfit and unhealthy environment. The child has no control over the circumstances of the life he or she will live, or the financial, mental, and emotional instability. A study published by the journal Pediatrics, when comparing women who were denied abortion to those who had received and mothers who hadn't been allowed abortions, had significantly worse socioeconomic situations for their children. This includes greater chance of living below the poverty line, as well as households without enough money to provide adequate housing or food. In conclusion, we strongly feel abortion should stay legal in all 50 states. Deciding whether or not to have an abortion is taking responsibility and is not a light decision to make. Being pro-choice does not mean that we are anti-family, but is allowing women to choose what is best on their own circumstances.
Hi, my name is Aaron Nose, and our team strongly indicates the resolution that abortion should be legalized in all 50 states. And I'm going to start off with my reputations. So, my opponent said that this, if we illegalize abortion, this will increase the number of illegal, or it will be unsafe to practice abortions. They would go black market or something like that. And this will actually raise the sexual education in the United States, because if we can help them like use condoms and stuff before they get to that critical stage of abortion, we could stop that right there. And she also said that it's a woman's right to have for their for the body to choose if they need to. Sorry. She said that it's a woman's right if they want to terminate pregnancy, and this is actually wrong because in the 13th Amendment, it says that it will give citizens life, liberty, and property with due process of law. And how can you eliminate an unborn child, and how does this connect? And this is why when they brought up Roe versus Wade, this may be overturned because it is constitutionally unsound and relies on interpretation. And for my first assertion, abortion can cause psychological problems, where my assertion is people who are going to get aborted do great things in our society, and if we allow abortion, we're stripping society of great people and new ideas. If we are killing unborn people, we're taking their potential and ideas that they bring with them away. The world would be a lot different than it is now. For example, Babe Ruth, Steve Jobs, Nelson Mandela, and Gerald Ford were adopted. Think about how different the world would be today if their parents decided to use abortion for any reason. The world would be a lot different than it is now if their parents decided it wasn't worth going through pregnancy and putting the kid up for adoption. We have already lost so many potentially great minds due to abortion. And my last assertion is that abortion is being used as a form of contraception. You shouldn't be allowed to use abortion as contraception just for convenience because it's cruel, harsh, and merciless. According to Freakonomics co-author Dr. Stephen Levitt, wrote that after abortion was legalized, conceptions rose by nearly 30%, but births actually fell by 6%. This means that many women were using abortion as a method of birth control, a crude and drastic sort of insurance policy. Also, Sydney Morning Herald said that 189,000 abortions took place in 2010. Of these, more than 64,000 terminations were on women who had already had at least one abortion. Through having psychiatric problems, to stripping the world of great minds and ideas, to being used as a contraceptive, you can clearly see that to stay with the current resolution to keep abortion legalized in all 50 states is wrong. Thank you.
Are the judges ready? The candidate? Alright, so I'm Henry, and I'm going to reinforce some of the statements that my group made. So the other group said that because of the abortions that were done because of rape and incest, that they should remain legal because those are things that will cause people to get abortions. But according to a study in 2005 by the David and Lucille Packard Foundation, only 1% of people that get abortions are due to rape, and only 0.5% of people get abortions due to incest. Also, the main question to ask is, at what point do we consider the baby a life form? The other group said that we can't consider it a life form until after 26 weeks, but conception is the start of life, according to Professor Bruce Carlson from the University of Michigan and the American College of Pediatricians. The time of fertilization represents the starting point in the life history of the individual, and because if we can use that to consider a life form, then Article 67 of the Kansas State Statute states that the unborn shall be considered as born for all rights accorded within the limits established by law. So this basically means that if we can consider a baby in the womb a life form, then any type of abortion would be considered murder.
because of this, when the egg and sperm meet, they immediately make a single-celled organism. This is a new organism that has the unique makeup of everything that the baby needs. Because of this, that means that a life form is being formed, and the other group stated that because babies can't feel pain until 26 weeks, this could be true, but there isn't enough information to back it up. So because of this, we can still consider it a life form because there's a single-celled organism, and that's just the beginning, but as time goes on, the baby also grows. So this means that as that single-celled organism develops, the longer we wait, the more it becomes a life form, meaning that this can be considered murder again. So also, we wanted to talk about mental health, which is a huge problem because of abortion. So a peer-reviewed study published by the Southern Medical Journal of more than 173,000 American women found that women who aborted children were 154% more likely to commit suicide than women who carried to term. So the chances of our opposition happening is pretty high if you look at current politics and the rising global population and trying to figure out what to do about the population. Also, states like Alabama have already challenged Roe versus Wade, and if one state can successfully do it, why can't the whole country? So if we don't follow through with this and we allow abortion to remain legal, this will have an immediate effect on moms and families because of mental health, people using abortion as a form of contraception, and other physical and mental problems. So why are we okay with ending a human life? Why are we okay with 30% of women developing mental illness after abortions? Why are we okay with not giving the opportunity to adopt a child to other families? If we kill babies, we are also hurting the families affected. Families and relationships can be torn apart and separated by abortions.
The candidate is medical ready. Judge is ready. Oh, okay. Okay. First off, I'd like to refute the assertion of my opponent that a fetus is a human being. The fetal heartbeat, as mentioned in the heartbeat bills, is attempted to be used as a marker for when the unborn becomes alive. Although cardiac activity is an indication of the pregnancy's health and continuation, this cardiac rhythm is just a group of cells with electrical activity at this point, and is certainly not sufficient to support viability. Director of Research of Obstetrics and Gynecology at Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital, Jennifer Kern, goes on to explain that at 6 weeks, the embryo begins to form, but will later develop into mature systems. But at this point in gestation, in no way is this equivalent to any kind of cardiovascular system. The next point that I'd like to refute is that unborn babies are alive. Personhood begins after birth or after the fetus is able to survive outside the womb, not at conception. Fetuses are not counted in the U.S. Census and the age of a person is signified from the date of birth, not the date of conception. As used in the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, the word person does not describe the unborn. Since embryos as well as fetuses have potential to human life but are not independent beings, abortion is the termination of the pregnancy, not a baby. To Today you contemplated arguments for and against the right to abortion. Overall, our team has brought forth these undeniable truths. First, making abortions illegal takes away the rights of the woman. The issue of women's rights is one that goes a long way back into history, but this is modern-day society. If we wish to even begin to achieve equality between genders, then we simply cannot ignore the fact that by denying the right to abortion, the individual rights of that woman are completely in the hands of the law. Is it really fair to let the law have the ability to entirely take away this fundamental human right? This fundamental right is one that is protected by the U.S. Constitution. Proved in abortion case Roe v. Wade, this resumes 72 states a guarantee of certain areas of sense of privacy, and that this right of privacy is broad enough to encompass a woman's decision whether or not to terminate her pregnancy. There are no laws in existence that take away men's rights to govern their own body, so if we were to enforce this upon women, this is unquestionably not meeting the claim of equality between genders. There is no reason why a woman should have to face all the consequences of something that she did not do alone. If women do indeed have equal rights to men, then they should have the moral ability to make a personal decision that will truly have a lasting impact on her life. A woman is a human being, not just a container for the fetus. Therefore, her rights should be considered as well as the possibly unfit and unhealthy environment the child may be born into. If the woman feels that she is not fit to be a mother at this point in her life, forcing her to do otherwise would strip her of her personal rights. Restricting access to reproductive health service violates women's liberty and health. If the woman personally believes that abortion is wrong, her decision to keep or put the baby up for adoption is her personal choice, and since this is her personal choice, we support it as well. The next point is that by denying women abortion, women will die from performing unsafe abortions. Unsafe abortion is responsible for 70,000 maternal deaths each year, which translates to 7 women per hour, according to the World Health Organization. Post-abortion complications can lead to short-term and long-term damage, affecting 8 million more women each year. This reflects the magnitude of the situation and the massive amounts of people this problem affects. More and more developing countries are reforming their abortion laws, bringing about evidence showing that legal abortion save women's lives. For example, 6 years after South Africa liberalized its abortion laws, deaths occurring from unsafe abortion decreased by at least 50%. 43% of abortions that occur worldwide are illegal. Making abortion illegal won't stop abortions from happening altogether, it will only stop them from being safely performed. It is clear that by making abortion illegal doesn't solve the problem, while making contraceptive available and affordable does. By allowing women the option of abortion, this achieves liberation to the woman's rights as well as her future, while protecting the unborn from uncontrollable circumstances.
Okay, judges, come up here.